Touched on this yesterday, that the Coalition is calling for an inquiry into the powers of the eSafety Commissioner, Julie Inman-Grant, and whether or not her role is now fit for purpose. Now, this is off the back of the social media ban that is about to come into effect for users aged under 16. December 10 is when that plan will go into place, which controversially now includes YouTube. Now, I find this absolutely extraordinary that the change came following advice from the eSafety Commissioner to the Communications Minister, Annika Wells, and the Australian says, who was revealed to have used once YouTube as a way to entertain her young children. Well, anybody believes that she did it once. I've got a bridge that runs from North Sydney to the city in Sydney that I'll sell you for a really good price. And I've got no problem that her kids watch YouTube. That's not what I'm saying here. To talk to us about this, we're joined by the Shadow Minister for Communications, Melissa McIntosh. Melissa, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Why are we... I mean, there's no doubt that the eSafety Commissioner now has effectively more power than the Prime Minister, but surely outcomes are the real thing we should be looking at here.
Yeah, we can't forget that anything to do with social media bans or age assurance or even the Safety Commissioner is about protecting our kids. And that is the priority of any government, is protecting our citizens and the most vulnerable, and our kids are top of the list. So there is no questioning that we need to do that, and the risks of kids being online. What I'm questioning is the actual role of the eSafety Commissioner. It was established a decade ago. The world is a very different place now. She has extraordinary powers. She's just released another 6 codes. There doesn't seem to be much transparency in the decision-making behind codes. And I think it's a fair question to ask, well, is her role fit for purpose? Should she have this much power over our country, including adults? And let's look into it a bit deeper.
Okay,
perhaps so the outcome of that might be a better outcome.
Then how do we manage this? Because I have battled against this social media ban since it was first floated, because there's a better way to do it. We have the foremost expert in the world when it comes to protecting kids online, and neither the government or the opposition wanted to talk to him. He's based here in Australia and operates in 40 states in the US, but apparently his advice wasn't good enough. I'm concerned that the Coalition went blindly into supporting this legislation, and now, after losing the election, is now trying to make it a fight.
I would love to speak to the expert that you have. I was not the Shadow Communications Minister when this was all decided, so we have a new person in the role. And hand on my heart, I want this to work for our families. I met with the Let Them Be Kids families who've lost their children to social media harm, and I promised them when they came to Canberra last week, and it was extremely emotional, that I would do everything I could to get this to work for Australian kids and families. There hasn't even been an education campaign. They're telling me that when they go around and visit schools, because that's what they do, they've lost their kids and they don't want to see any other child be lost to social media harm. Kids don't know it's coming. Families don't know it's coming. Schools don't know it's coming. And it's actually coming during the school holidays, which adds more complexity. So we are in a place where the ban is happening, whether you support it or not. I have question marks around whether it's going to work, but I have promised these families that I'd hold the government to account, as much as I can, but we also don't know what constitutes reasonable measures, what age assurance technology should be used. And this is happening in 3 months. It's a little bit extraordinary that we're in this place with so many questions. So you're right to question whether this is...
My biggest problem here is, and this is not a criticism of the Coalition, it's a criticism of nearly everybody in the House, bar 2 MP. And I spoke to dozens of MPs and senators in the lead up to this legislation, and only 2 actually understood what I was saying to them when I relayed to them the advice that was given to me by Tim Levy, the owner of Qoria, this company that I'm talking about, who said all we need to do is change ACCC regulations to allow parents to have the same protections on their devices that you as MPs have on your government-provided devices. So, and I said this to dozens of MPs, and only 2 understood it, that you can't download TikTok onto your government-issued phone, right?
Correct.
Because somebody in that building up there on the hill prevents you from doing it. But individuals don't have that same power, and with a change of ACCC regulation, we could make Apple and Google and the various platforms let mums and dads have that same power, and the problem's solved without any legislation whatsoever.
Yeah, well, that's a really interesting idea. We didn't talk before the election. I'm in this role now, and I think from the TikTok perspective, yes, we can't have it on our phones. From the YouTube perspective, I spoke, and my team spoke a lot to YouTube prior to them being included, and we came up with some other ideas that we could potentially explore. Including right now, there's a restriction if you're 13 and under. Why don't we extend that to 16 and under? When you have kids freely watching YouTube now without any of the protections that they have by having an account, then they can search all sorts of nasty things. Yeah,
I'm only using TikTok as an example because I know that it's been banned on government phones. I don't know what other restrictions you have, but I just use that as an example. But basically what this will allow parents to do is block any nefarious activity online, whether it, and this is the thing that has only just been picked up now in one of these regulations that you're talking about, is access to pornographic websites, which seem to be completely missed in all of this.
Pornographic websites, the fast-moving nature of AI, and hearing that kids, have best friend bots, and the language that's being used between children and AI is unacceptable. And also gambling, access to game. We haven't even looked at gaming or discussed that in this. So there's a lot of holes, but I think, you're right. You're completely right in that we're now in a position where something may not work. We all want it to work. And the best I can do as the Shadow Communications Minister is to hold the government to account and the promise that it's made to the Australian people, and also look at what our policy might be going into the future on these very important issues.
With regards to the office of the eSafety Commissioner, Melissa, do you see a role for something like that? Because you say you're inferring that the current version isn't fit for purpose, but do you think there is a role for an agency like that, or should it be operated out of the Communications Minister's office solely?
I'm not saying that the office itself is not relevant or shouldn't be set up. But it's worth having a look at it and asking questions and probing into it, because, as I've said many times, she's an unelected official with extreme powers.
Yeah, well,
she's not answerable to the Parliament.
Yeah. Well, I've said a couple of times this morning, she seems to have more power than the Prime Minister at the moment.
We have to be very and the government went to 2 elections on transparency, and the decisions that the eSafety Commission, and this is nothing personal, this is purely about the role and the power she has. The decisions, there's no transparency. She doesn't have to reveal why she's made certain decisions, and they're huge decisions that impact every Australian.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it is very worth having an inquiry into the role and whether it is the right place to put it.
How successful do you think you'll be in getting it up?
Well, we had some luck getting, supporting an inquiry into the age verification and the ban into the Senate. We did support something like this that just didn't get across the line. We can keep, prosecuting it. It will probably be a Senate inquiry. We just need to get enough support. We'll see.
Melissa, I appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Melissa McIntosh, the Shadow Minister for Communications. It is 12 and a half minutes to 9.